do 1 minute. 1 minute.
Going to call the Planning Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Richards? Alderperson Denham?
Here.
Commissioner Green?
Here.
Commissioner Hillis?
Here.
Chairperson Groman?
Here.
Vice Chairperson Dieger?
Here.
Commissioner Morielli?
Here.
Commissioner Martinoski?
Here.
Commissioner O'Day?
Here.
Commissioner Gore? We have a quorum.
Okay. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to just take a minute and welcome our new Commissioner, Tony Morielli, joining us tonight. Nice to have you with us, sir. Thank you so much for serving. This is the time in our meeting where members of the public can speak regarding city business that this planning commission has jurisdiction or authority to take action on, which is not listed on the agenda for public hearing. We ask you to be mindful of everybody's time and refrain from making comments that are repetitive. We ask the members of the public to please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. For any meeting where 10 or more speakers, I don't have to worry about that tonight. Please state your name and whether or not you're a resident within the city limits of Branson. Do we have any speakers?
No speakers.
No speakers? Okay. The first item on the regular agenda is the approval of the Planning Commission minutes for the July 29, 2024 special meeting. Has the commission had a chance to review the minutes? Are there any comments from the commissioners regarding the minutes? I will now entertain a motion to approve the July 29, 24 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Now call for vote.
Alderperson Denham?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Hillis?
Yes.
Chairperson Groman?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Dieger?
Yes.
Commissioner Morielli? Commissioner Martinoski?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Day?
Yes.
We have 8 votes yea, 0 nay. Motion carried.
Thank you. The first item on the public hearing is a request for municipal code amendments throughout Chapter 94, replacing the term nightly rental with the term short-term rental. Can I get a motion to bring this item on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Would staff like to provide information on this item?
Yes, yes. Good evening, Commission, Alderwoman. So tonight we have a code amendment on the agenda, and this is related to short-term rentals, nightly rentals. So just a little background, there's been a recent code amendment to Chapter 22, which is the businesses and licensing chapter. And this amendment addressed short-term rentals on several different levels, but it did get approved on July 23rd. So to be current with current industry standards, a piece of this amendment revised the term for nightly rental in Chapter 22 to short-term rental, which it's my understanding it's just more current to industry standards as far as terminology. So this proposed amendment tonight is going to align Chapter 94 with the newly adopted terminology and definitions, which replaces the nightly with a short term. We have an image of our legal notice that went in the paper. So this is going to affect two different articles, Article 1 and Article 4. So in Article 1, it's Section 94-5 definitions. In Article 4, under uses, it's 94-60, table of permitted uses, 94-61, use and structure standards, 94-62, special use standards. So literally, this amendment is just replacing the word short term for nightly. So in Section 94.5, this is our definition of current nightly rentals. We're just striking nightly and putting in short term. Section 94-60, the table of permitted uses. We are not changing any zoning classifications that this is allowed in. We're just simply striking nightly, putting in short-term rental. Section 94-61, use and structure standards. So for this one, we have a category for commercial uses, which lodging underneath that, and then we had a nightly rental category, and now we're changing that to short-term rental. This last one is Section 94-62, special use standards. So I don't know if you guys recall, but when the data center ordinance went through a month or so ago, it did have a reference to nightly rental, and so we are just striking nightly and adding short-term. That is all of this code amendment, and with that, staff recommends approval.
Any commissioners have any comments or questions? Any public comment in this request? If you do, please come down and sign the form, and we'll be happy to hear you. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the request for municipal code amendments throughout Chapter 94, replacing the term nightly rental with short-term rental. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Call for a vote?
Alderperson Denham?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Hillis?
Yes.
Chairperson Groman?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Dieger?
Yes.
Commissioner Moriali? Commissioner Mountanowski?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Day?
Yes.
Result of the vote, 8 votes yea, 0 nay. Motion carried.
This concludes the public hearing for tonight's agenda. At this point, I'll be leaving the meeting and turning it over to my co-chair for the remainder of the meeting.
We're in trouble. Sure. Okay. Where are we at? Under the reports?
I believe so.
Do you have any reports for the commission?
Yes, I do. I think we did this maybe a couple years ago. It's just a hopefully quick little orientation to the Planning Commission Board, and so we're happy that we have Tony here tonight for this. So it's just a little bit of an intro into planning, what happens before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. So why do we plan? Why do planners plan? So it sets expectations, it creates and protects our neighborhoods, it implements our community vision, promotes economic development, provides a forum for reaching consensus, and it's connecting people to the community. What are the roles and responsibilities of planning commissioners? So you guys are primarily in an advisory role to the Board of Aldermen. You're responsible for the comprehensive plan. You guys hold public hearings on development-related applications, and you make those recommendations to the BOA. You also approve special use permits. You make recommendations for ordinance amendments, and then most recently, annexation would be on your plate. The roles and responsibilities of staff, we hold these pre-application meetings, which we call open for business. We review applications for completeness. We provide fair, ethical, professional advice, recommendations to the folks. We provide background information, write up the staff reports for you guys. We prepare the ordinance text amendments for your consideration, and we also answer technical questions. So before the meeting, our chairman typically, and sometimes the co-chairman, meets with planning staff to review the agenda and discuss concerns or issues prior to the meeting. The commissioners, the things that you should be doing is review the meeting agenda, review our staff report, our analyses, our recommendations, become familiar with ordinance sections, visit the site, do a site visit, if it's some kind of a development project or rezone or any of that. And then also compare the relationship of the proposal to our comprehensive plan and other corridor plans and ordinances. So at the meeting, our chairperson opens up the meeting and notes any agenda changes. The chairperson identifies the item number under for consideration, and he or she leads the public hearing deliberations. So at the meeting, we have a decorum. So the commission and audience need to respect opinions of others and refrain from attacks or applause. The chair is to maintain control, and the commission needs to focus on the item being considered. So at the meeting, we have public hearings that are required for major land use applications, rezonings, plan developments, special use permits, subdivision plats, ordinance amendments, updates to the comp plan, and annexations. So during the meeting, once the public hearing is opened, the chair requests staff's presentation. The chair may also request an applicant's presentation. He opens the public testimony, enforces the standard time limits for testimony, requests testimony from those in attendance, both for and against, asks if commission has questions for the applicant or staff, closes the public hearing, and then calls for discussion from the commission. So after the hearing is closed, the commission can discuss the item, and then a motion is made to recommend either approval, denial, a continuance. They vote, and then the results are sent to council for consideration. So when it gets to the Board of Aldermen, they will hold their first public hearing, and then staff will present commission's recommendations to them. And the Board of Aldermen, they may accept the commission's recommendation, disagree, or refer the item back to commission for additional information if needed. So at the second reading would be the approval, and then the applicant is then ready for their next steps. The building plans are submitted, permits are issued, and then it could be a denial where the process ceases at that time. We're going to have Holly cover these next few slides.
So I'm going to present some other considerations that you should think about when you are sitting as a commissioner. One of the common issues is whether or not you should abstain, whether or not you have a right to vote. So if you have a conflict or a personal interest, that means a financial interest, a personal connection, your spouse or significant other's business is the one who's the applicant. In those situations, you have a legal conflict, and that requires that you abstain. You cannot participate either in the discussion or in the vote, and that abstention needs to be signified both orally as well as coming off of the dais. And you can participate, but your participation is the same as when we ask for public comment. You do not have the same privileges that a commissioner has. There's also issues of an appearance of impropriety. So you may not meet the legal requirements of a conflict, but you have such a connection to the project or to the issue that it would look like you're making decisions unfairly. And in those situations, it's not a legal conflict, but you think there is a potential for a conflict, or the citizens may perceive that there was a conflict in that decision. In those situations, first, what should you do? Talk to the city attorney. So I'm usually here ahead of time. There's also staff around. You can say, hey, if Holly's not here in person, let me get her on the phone. But you're going to know when you receive the package who the application is. You're also going to know because if your significant other or your business is the applicant, you ought to know, right? you ought to know what's going on. So when it is that close, you're going to know. At that point, then you say, hey, I need to talk to Holly. Can somebody get me in touch with her? I'm on all the emails when we send them out on who's coming, so you can always just email me back. But that's a good beginning point to see, is it a true legal conflict, or is it an appearance of impropriety you think that you can't overcome? You need to disclose that conflict on the record. So in this situation, Commissioner Denham, Commissioner/Alder Denham would say, this is an application by my daughter, and therefore I am stepping down from the dais. That way, before it has a motion or a second, she shouldn't do a motion or a second because she has such a close connection to it, or there could be a perception of that. She still would be able to participate in the public comment, but only through the public comment. You need to orally state so people know why there's a conflict. You also cannot vote in that situation. Sometimes people get to hearing the story and they're like, well, that's my business, right? So I have an interest in it because that's the same area of business that I have. That's not probably a close enough perception. Think in terms of jurors. When we're picking jurors, you're not conflicted because you already have an opinion on a DUI, right? Like, I lost somebody through a DUI. That doesn't make it a conflict. You just come to this position as a legislator and an advisory capacity with your life experiences, and that's why we want you here. When those life experiences prevent you from fairly participating in listening to the public hearing and adjudicating it, that's when you need to step off. Does that kind of clear as mud, right? Removal of members and attendance. In our code under 2201, so that's chapter 2, section 201, the mayor, with the consent of the board, so it's got to be a majority of the board, can remove a commissioner for misconduct or neglect of duty. There is a presumption of neglect of duty if you miss 3 consecutive meetings without permission from the president or chairman of the commission. So in this case, if you know you're going to be gone, you can let us know. So you can call or you can email planning@bransonmo.gov, or when Jennifer or Nikki sends out the, hey, we've got this meeting, I'm checking to see if we have quorum, then you would send a response just to whoever sent that out. You don't need to send it to all, but can you let the chairman know I'm unable to come because I'm accepting the lottery check tomorrow, right? So we always say it's a death, right? I like to think there are nice things that I'm receiving an honorarium, and so I need to I have a conflict. So then we'll pass that on as chair, we are the secretary for the board, and so we would pass that on to the chairman so that that is accomplished, so we know that that's an excused absence. And meetings. Most importantly, this is the litigator in me talking to you. This is a record. All of these meetings are recorded and are kept, and of course, they're going to be exhibit 1 in how you unfairly made a decision and recommendation. So think about what your questions are, think fairly, and think about what the considerations are. Our staff is amazing and they do a great job with presentation to say, here's the issue, here's the thought processes, when you're voting for or against a special use permit, what are the factors, what conditions can you add to it? And when you have those questions, you can ask them, but think it through, because once we're in a meeting, it's recorded. Anyone by the Sunshine Law can come in here and record it also. So know that that is exhibit 1 in a lawsuit, right? So bear in mind the magnitude of what you say when you are in the position as a commissioner. And final notes, and I'm stealing from Jennifer now. As commissioners, you hold a valuable position and service to this city. We are very grateful for that. Unfortunately, across the state and across the nation, it's a struggle to fill a quorum for planning commissions. And planning commissions are such a key aspect of the future of every city, to ensure that we have plans that in place harmonize so everyone is a good neighbor. You make a positive difference in this, and know that the staff is here to serve you, not just as secretary in keeping the notes and the documentation, but we want to make sure if there's something you don't know, that we're getting that information to you, and then we all can serve the city best. So on behalf of the entire city, thank you for your service. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate your time. And that's it. Any questions? See, you all get an A. That's fabulous. And today, we're just going to waive that quiz that we normally have at the end. And I think you're ready for the next report.
Just have a couple of things to update you all on. The Economic Development Priorities Survey was distributed to residents and business owners recently, seeking their input to help shape future initiatives. Mark Colosi provided an update to the Board of Aldermen on the comprehensive plan development process. He gave an overview of what comprehensive planning entails. He discussed the review of the existing plans and outlined future meetings where feedback will be gathered on the vision and goals. The comprehensive plan development is underway, and the board has approved the creation of a comprehensive planning committee. Staff will be presenting further details to you all soon. The only other update I have for you is that staff would like to acknowledge that the next November 5th Planning Commission meeting, and in light of the upcoming election, recommends rescheduling to November 7th, and you will be receiving further details about that date change soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, staff. Any reports from any of the other commissioners? Next item on the agenda would be the adjournment. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 1 at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the September 3, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
First and second made. I will now call for a vote.
Alderperson Denham,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Hillis,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Dieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Morielli, Commissioner Martinowski,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Day.
Yes.
The result of the vote, 7 yea, 0 nay. Motion carried at 6:22 p.m.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, staff.